The arena on Prime Station was massive. Thousands of aliens from across the galaxy filled the seats, their voices creating a noise that shook the metal walls. Bright lights shined down on the fighting floor where blood still stained the ground from the previous match. Ambassador HFY sat in the human section, her face calm but her hands gripped tight on the armrests. Next to her, Captain Min watched the arena floor with hard eyes. Behind them stood the security detail, 5 Marines in their dress uniforms, standing perfectly still. On the arena floor, Warlord raised all 4 of his arms in victory. The warrior stood 8 feet tall, his body covered in black armor that looked like it grew from his skin. Each of his 4 hands held a curved blade that glowed with blue energy. His face had no expression humans could read, just sharp angles and cold eyes that looked like a shark's eyes. The crowd roared as walked around the arena. His defeated opponent, a warrior from the species, was being carried away on a medical stretcher. That made 17 victories for the Empire, 17 species that had challenged them and lost. Stopped in the center of the arena and turned toward the viewing boxes. His voice came through the translation devices everyone wore, deep and rough like grinding stones. "Is there no one else?" called out. 17 species have sent their best warriors. 17 have failed. The Empire proves once again that we are the true predators of this galaxy. We evolved on a world where everything hunted and everything died. We are apex hunters, born with weapons you others had to invent. The crowd grew quiet. Some species looked away, others nodded, accepting this dominance. Then turned his eyes toward the human section. "And what of the species to join our galactic community? The humans from Earth. You come from a soft world, a gentle planet where the weather is mild and the animals are weak. You have no claws, no armor, no natural weapons at all. Tell me, humans, have you ever even seen a real predator?" HFY stood up slowly. She was a skilled diplomat, trained to handle insults and challenges with calm words. "Warlord, humanity seeks peaceful cooperation with all species. We have no interest in—" "Peaceful?" laughed a sound like metal scraping metal. "You mean weak. You mean afraid. I have studied your species, Ambassador. You evolved as prey animals on your world. Small, slow, fragile. You survived only because nothing on your planet was dangerous enough to hunt you all to extinction. Now you come to a galaxy filled with real predators, and you speak of peace because you know you cannot fight." Min's jaw tightened. His hand moved slightly toward his side, where his sidearm would normally be, but weapons were not allowed in the diplomatic sections. Behind them, one of the Marines shifted. Sergeant Wu Jin took a single step forward. He was not the biggest Marine in the unit. He stood just 6 feet tall, with short black hair and a face that showed many scars. His uniform was perfect, every ribbon and medal in place, but his eyes held something cold and focused. "Sir," Wu Jin said quietly to Min, "permission to accept the challenge." Min turned sharply. "Sergeant, stand down, that's not—" "With respect, sir," Wu Jin interrupted, his voice still quiet but firm. "He just insulted every human in this station, every person back on Earth. He called us prey." HFY looked at Wu Jin, then at Min. She knew the sergeant's record: 3 combat tour, 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star, and a reputation among his unit as the Marine who never ever quit. "Sergeant," HFY said carefully, "if you lose, it will be seen as proof that humanity is weak. It could damage our position in the galaxy for generations." Wu Jin's expression did not change. "Then I won't lose, ma'am." Before Min could order him to stand down, Wu Jin stepped out of the security detail line and walked to the railing of the viewing box. His voice carried across the arena, clear and strong. "Warlord, I accept your challenge." The entire arena went silent. Then the noise exploded. Aliens from 100 species began talking at once. Some laughed, others looked curious, a few looked worried. Turned to face the human section fully, all 4 of his arms spread wide. "A human warrior? Excellent. I was hoping one of you would have the courage to face me, even if you lack the ability. What is your name, human? Marine Sergeant Wu Jin, United Earth Forces. Marine repeated as if tasting the word. A water warrior, how strange. Very well, Sergeant Wu Jin. In 3 days we will meet in this arena. The rules are simple, minimal armor, melee weapons only. The fight continues until one of us yields or dies. Do you understand? I understand. Walked closer to the edge of the arena, looking up at Wu Jin. Tell me, Marine, have you ever fought a real predator? Something that was born to hunt and kill? Something with claws and teeth and armor stronger than your metal? Have you ever faced death itself and felt it breathing on your neck? Wu Jin looked down at the warlord. His face showed no fear, no anger, just a cold and quiet determination. When he spoke, his words were simple and clear, and they would be remembered across the galaxy for years to come. Have you ever fought a Marine? The crowd erupted again. Some aliens laughed at what they saw as human arrogance. Others remained silent, sensing something in those words that went beyond bravado. Stared at Wu Jin for a long moment. Then he threw back his head and made a sound that might have been laughter. In 3 days, little human, I will show you what it means to face a true predator. I will show your species why the Empire has never lost an honor duel. I will show you that evolution has already decided this fight, and your kind lost millions of years before you even left your gentle planet. 3 days, Wu Jin said simply. As left the arena floor, the other Marines gathered around Wu Jin. Corporal Wu, the unit's combat medic, grabbed his arm. Wu Jin, what were you thinking? Do you have any idea what you just volunteered for? I know exactly what I volunteered for, Wu Jin said quietly. He looked at each of his fellow Marines. Wu with her worried eyes, Sang Ho who specialized in explosives and looked excited, and young Bora who handled intelligence and was already pulling up data on her tablet. 3 days, Wu Jin repeated. We have 3 days to figure out how to beat a creature that evolution designed to be the perfect killer. Min put a hand on Wu Jin's shoulder. Sergeant, this isn't like combat on Earth. This isn't even like the battles we fought on. This is a creature from a death world, bred for millions of years to hunt and kill. Their entire species evolved to be apex predators. Wu Jin looked at his captain, and for the first time he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had faced death before and survived. Good, Wu Jin said. Then he'll never see us coming. News of the challenge spread through Prime Station like fire. Within hours, every species in the galaxy knew that a human Marine had accepted Warlord's challenge. The betting houses opened immediately, and the odds were not good for humanity. 500 to 1 against the human. Some betting houses offered even worse odds. They had never lost an honor duel in their entire history. They were born predators from a world where only the strongest survived. Humans were newcomers, untested, and physically weak compared to most galactic species. In the human quarters, Wu Jin stood in the training room while his fellow Marines worked around him. The room was small, designed for basic exercise, but they had converted it into a combat training space. Sparring mats covered the floor. Weights and resistance bands lined one wall. Corporal Wu wrapped medical tape around Wu Jin's hands while Private First Class Bora projected holographic images onto the wall. The images showed anatomy, rotating slowly so everyone could study them. 4 arms, Bora said, pointing with a stylus. Each arm has the strength of 3 human arms, redundant organ systems. If you damage one heart, he has 2 more as backup. Same with lungs and kidneys. His skeleton is denser than ours, reinforced with a calcium carbonate compound that makes it extremely hard to break. Lance Corporal Sang Ho whistled low. So we can't break his bones, can't stop his heart, and he's 3 times stronger than us. This just keeps getting better. There's more, Bora continued. She zoomed in on the skin. This outer layer is not skin like ours. It's a chitinous carapace, similar to an insect's exoskeleton but much stronger. It can deflect most blade weapons and even some low-caliber projectiles. The only weak points are the joints where the plates meet, and even those are protected by flexible connective tissue. Wu finished tapping Wu Jin's hands and stepped back. Their reflexes are also faster than human reflexes. In every measurable way, they are superior physical specimens. Wu Jin, I need to ask you something as your medic. Why did you volunteer for this? This isn't like facing another human soldier. This is a creature designed by evolution to kill. Wu Jin flexed his hands, testing the tape. That's exactly why I volunteered. Because if we don't prove ourselves now, every species in this galaxy will see us as weak. They'll see us as prey, just like said, and prey gets hunted. Captain Min entered the training room, followed by Ambassador Haewon. They both looked tired. Min carried a data pad and a worried expression. I've been reviewing combat footage, Min said. 17 matches, 17 victories. The longest match lasted 4 minutes. Most end in under 2 minutes. They're fast, brutal, and efficient. They fight like predators going straight for vital areas. Have any of their opponents come close to winning? Seng-ho asked. No, Min said flatly. The closest match was against a warrior, one of those 8-legged armored species. He lasted 4 minutes because his shell was too thick to penetrate quickly, but eventually found a weak spot and ended it. Haewon spoke up, her voice diplomatic but strained. Sergeant Wu Jin, I need to be clear with you. If you wish to withdraw from this challenge, I can negotiate an honorable exit. We can claim medical reasons or cultural misunderstanding. There is no shame in. No, ma'am, Wu Jin interrupted gently but firmly. With respect, there is shame in backing down. Not for me personally, but for every human who comes after us. If we show fear now, we'll be showing fear forever. The room fell silent for a moment. Then Sang-ho spoke up, his voice less joking than before. All right, so we can't outmuscle him, can't outspeed him, and can't break through his armor. How exactly are we supposed to win this? Wu Jin walked to the holographic display and studied the rotating image of the warrior. We win by doing what humans do best. We adapt, we endure, we find a way. That's not a strategy, Bora said quietly. That's hope. No, Wu Jin said, turning to face his team. That's evolution. Bora, pull up information on human evolutionary history, specifically how we hunted on Earth before we had advanced weapons. Bora's fingers moved across her tablet. After a moment, she projected new images onto the wall. Ancient humans running across grasslands, humans tracking animals, humans working together. Humans evolved as persistent hunters, Bora read from her data. We didn't have claws or teeth or armor. We weren't the fastest or strongest animals on Earth, but we had something else. We could run for hours, days even, when other animals could only sprint for minutes. We would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We could track wounded animals for dozens of miles, never giving up until we caught them. We also had something else, Wu Jin added. We could think, we could adapt. We could change our tactics based on what we learned. Predators like they hunt the same way every time because it works. It's instinct. But humans, we learn. We evolve our strategies in real time. Wu stepped forward, her medical scanner in hand. That's a nice theory, but let me run a physical scan first. I need to see what condition you're actually in. Wu Jin held still while Wu ran the scanner over his body. As the data appeared on her tablet, her expression grew more and more concerned. Wu Jin, she said softly, your left shoulder never healed properly from. The rotator cuff is barely holding together. Your ribs on the right side have microfractures that never fully mended, and your left knee. How are you even walking on this? The cartilage is almost completely worn away. I manage, Wu Jin said simply. You manage, Wu's voice rose. You're going to fight a creature bred for combat, and you're going in with a body held together by stubbornness and scar tissue. Wu Jin, this is insane. You need to withdraw. Let me talk to Min, we can. No, Wu Jin's voice was quiet but absolute. Wu, I know you're worried, I know the odds. I know my body isn't in perfect condition, but that's not what matters. What matters is that I don't quit. That's what being a Marine means. That's what being human means. He turned to face the entire group. You all know my record. You know about 442B. You know what happened there. The room grew heavy with memory. They all knew the story. 6 days holding a position against overwhelming odds. Wu Jin's unit had been cut off, outnumbered, and running out of ammunition. Command had written them off. But they held. For 6 days they held. Wu Jin continued, his voice distant as he remembered. Sergeant, my squad leader, she took a hit on the 4th day. Fatal wound. She knew she was dying. And you know what her last words were? She looked at me and said, Marines don't quit. When they think you're done, when they're sure you can't continue, that's when you keep going. That's when you show them what humans are made of. She died in my arms, Wu Jin said, his voice steady despite the pain in his eyes. And we held that position for 2 more days. We held it until reinforcements arrived. We held it because Marines don't quit. The room was completely silent now. Even Sang Ho, usually quick with a joke, said nothing. Wu Jin looked at each of them in turn. Thinks he knows what humans are. He thinks we're prey because we're not born with claws and teeth. He thinks evolution has already decided this fight. But he's wrong. Evolution taught us something better than claws. It taught us to never give up. It taught us that when everything says we should fall, we take one more step. When everything says we should die, we keep breathing. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us dangerous. Min watched Wu Jin for a long moment, then nodded slowly. All right, Sergeant. You've made your choice. Now let's make sure you survive it. Bora, I want every piece of data on combat psychology. Sang Ho, help me build a training program that mimics fighting a 4-armed opponent. Wu, you keep him healthy enough to make it to that arena. He turned to Wu Jin. And you, Sergeant, you train like your life depends on it, because it does. Wu Jin smiled, that same cold smile from the arena. Understood, sir. Let's show them what a Marine can do. 3 days passed like a countdown to execution. The entire station buzzed with anticipation. Aliens from across the galaxy filled every available space in the arena, and millions more watched through broadcasts on there. Wu Jin stood in the preparation room beneath the arena, silent and focused. He wore minimal armor as the rules required, a chest plate that covered his vital organs, arm guards, and leg guards. All of it was light, designed for mobility rather than protection. Against blades, it would provide only seconds of defense at best. Wu made final adjustments to the armor straps. Her hands were steady, but her eyes showed her fear. Remember what we practiced. Stay mobile. Don't let him pin you down. If you get hurt, try to. Wu Jin said softly, I'll be fine. You better be, she said, her voice cracking slightly. Because if you die out there, I'll never forgive you. Sang Ho stepped forward and handed Wu Jin 2 combat knives. They were simple weapons, each about 10 inches long, with black handles and razor-sharp blades. Against 4 plasma-edged swords, they looked like toys. I checked the edges myself, Sang Ho said. Sharp enough to split atoms. Well, not really, but sharp enough to cut through armor at the joints. Maybe, if you're lucky. I make my own luck, Wu Jin said, testing the weight and balance of each knife. Bora stood nearby with her tablet, even now reviewing data. I've analyzed all 17 of his previous fights. He always opens with an overhead strike using his upper arms, then follows with lateral cuts from his lower arms. He expects opponents to retreat, if you can. I know, Wu Jin said. I've watched the footage too. I know his patterns. The door to the preparation room opened. Captain Min and Ambassador Haewon entered, both looking grave. The arena is full, Min said. Representatives from every major species are watching. This fight will determine how the galaxy sees humanity for the next century. No pressure, Sang Ho muttered. Haewon stepped forward and placed a hand on Wu Jin's shoulder. "Sergeant, whatever happens out there, you have already shown courage. You have already brought honor to humanity. If you need to yield—" "I won't yield," Wu Jin said simply. Above them a tone sounded. The match was about to begin. Wu Jin walked toward the tunnel that led to the arena floor. As he reached the entrance, he paused and looked back at his fellow Marines, at his captain, at the ambassador. "Marines don't quit," he said. "And today the galaxy learns what that means." Then he walked into the light. The roar of the crowd hit him like a physical force. Thousands of aliens, hundreds of species, all watching. The arena floor stretched before him, a circular space about 50 meters in diameter. Bright lights made everything sharp and clear. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. On the opposite side of the arena, Wu Jin saw emerge from his own tunnel. The Warlord looked even larger in the arena's bright lights. His black carapace gleamed like polished obsidian. All four of his arms held swords that glowed with blue plasma energy, and as he walked, the weapons hummed with barely contained power. Stopped at the center of the arena and waited. Wu Jin walked forward to meet him. The size difference was staggering. Towered over Wu Jin by more than 2 feet, and his 4 arms made him look like some ancient war god. An official, a small alien with 6 eyes and gray skin, stood between them. "The rules have been acknowledged by both parties. Minimal armor, melee weapons only. The match continues until one combatant yields or can no longer fight. Are both fighters ready?" "Ready," growled. "Ready," Wu Jin said. "Then begin." The official scrambled out of the way. The crowd's roar became deafening, and attacked. He moved faster than something that large should be able to move. All 4 swords came at Wu Jin in a coordinated assault, each blade seeking a killing blow. The upper swords came down like executioners' axes. The lower swords swept in from the sides like scythes. Wu Jin had exactly 1 second to react. He dove forward and to the right, rolling beneath the upper blades while barely avoiding the lower ones. He felt the heat of the plasma edges as they passed inches from his head. The concrete floor where he had been standing cracked and smoked from the impact. Wu Jin came up from his roll, knives ready, but was already turning. The reflexes were as fast as Bora had warned. Before Wu Jin could set his feet, attacked again. This time Wu Jin couldn't dodge completely. One of the lower blades caught his left arm, cutting through the armor guard and slicing into the muscle beneath. Pain shot up his arm, hot and sharp. Blood ran down to his elbow. Wu Jin gritted his teeth and forced himself to focus. Pain was information. Information he could use. The cut told him the blades were as dangerous as they looked. It told him he couldn't afford to take another direct hit. Pressed his advantage, attacking with relentless speed and power. His 4 arms moved in a pattern that was hard to predict, each sword coming from a different angle. Wu Jin retreated, dodging and blocking when he had to, trying to create space to breathe. But there was no space. The arena was large but was faster. Every time Wu Jin tried to circle away, cut him off. Every time Wu Jin tried to counterattack, one of those 4 swords forced him back on defense. In the human section of the stands, Wu gripped Sang-ho's arm so hard her fingers went white. "He's not going to make it," she whispered. "He's too slow, he's—" "Wait," Bora said, her eyes fixed on the arena floor. "Look at what he's doing." Down in the arena, Wu Jin was indeed retreating, but not in a panicked way. He was studying, learning. Every time attacked, Wu Jin watched the pattern. Upper arms first, then lower arms. Left side favored slightly over right. A small delay, just a fraction of a second between the upper and lower attacks. Sensed victory. The human was wounded, bleeding, and clearly outmatched. Time to end this and prove the superiority once and for all. Launched his finishing combination. All 4 swords swept in together, a killing blow that no opponent had ever survived. And Wu Jin didn't retreat. Instead, he did something that shocked everyone watching. He moved forward, straight into the attack. The upper swords came down, and Wu Jin threw himself into a slide, feet first, like a baseball player sliding into home base. The swords passed over him, missing by inches. But now he was inside's reach, too close for the swords to be effective. Wu Jin's left arm was injured, but his right arm was fine. As he slid past's legs, Wu Jin slashed upward with his right knife, targeting the joint behind the knee where the armor plates met. The blade bit deep. Roared in pain and surprise. Dark blue blood sprayed from the wound. The warlord staggered, his left leg buckling slightly. Wu Jin rolled away and came to his feet, breathing hard. His left arm hung useless at his side, blood dripping from the wound. His chest plate had a crack in it from where one of the swords had glanced off, but he was smiling. "First blood to you," Wu Jin said, gesturing at his arm. "Second blood to me." Looked down at his injured leg, then back at Wu Jin. For the first time, there was something other than confidence in his eyes, surprise, and perhaps a hint of respect. "You moved into my attack," said. "That is, not logical, you should have been killed." "Should have been," Wu Jin agreed, "but I'm still here." The tone sounded, marking the end of the first round. Both fighters had 2 minutes to rest and receive medical attention before the second round began. Wu Jin walked back to his corner where Wu rushed to treat his arm. She worked quickly, applying medical foam that would seal the wound and provide local anesthetic. "That was insane," she hissed as she worked. "You deliberately took a hit to land one of your own. That's not strategy, that's suicide." "But it worked," Wu Jin said, watching across the arena. This medical team was treating his leg injury, and Wu Jin could see that the wound was deeper than he'd hoped. He's hurt, and more importantly, he's confused. He's never fought someone who attacks by taking damage. "That's because it's crazy," Sang Ho said. "Maybe," Wu Jin agreed. "But crazy is hard to predict, and if he can't predict me, he can't beat me." Across the arena stared at the human warrior. The small creature should be broken by now, should be begging for mercy, but instead he stood tall, ready for more. For the first time in his long career as a warrior, felt a small seed of doubt take root in his mind. Perhaps he had underestimated these humans. Perhaps there was more to them than soft skin and weak bodies. Perhaps. The tone sounded for the second round. Wu Jin stood up from his corner, his left arm now functional thanks to Wu's quick medical work, though it still hurt with every movement. Across the arena, rose to his full height, his leg injury treated but clearly still bothering him. The crowd's energy had changed. What had started as expected entertainment, a quick demonstration of superiority, had become something else. The human had survived the first round. He had even landed a meaningful hit. Now the spectators leaned forward in their seats, curious to see what would happen next. "Begin," the official called. This time did not rush forward immediately. He approached carefully, all 4 swords held ready, his eyes tracking Wu Jin's every movement. The warlord had learned from the first round. The human was more dangerous than he looked. Wu Jin began to circle, moving to his right, keeping his body in constant motion. His footwork was precise, efficient, the movement of someone trained to fight. Moved to cut him off, but Wu Jin simply changed direction, circling the other way. Then Wu Jin did something that confused everyone watching. He started to run. Not away from, just running in a large circle around the arena, keeping distance between himself and the warrior. In the stands, several alien species made sounds of confusion and disappointment. Was the human retreating? Was this cowardice? But in the human section, Bora suddenly understood. "He's making chase him," she said, her eyes wide. "He's implementing persistence hunting." Min leaned forward. "Explain." "Before humans had advanced weapons, we hunted by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion," Bora said quickly. "We couldn't run as fast as most animals, but We could run for hours, days even. We would chase prey until its muscles gave out from fatigue, until it couldn't run anymore. That's what he's doing. He's going to make run. Down in the arena, realized the human was not going to engage directly. With a growl of frustration, the warlord began to chase. For the first minute, it seemed like would catch Wu Jin easily. The long legs covered ground quickly, and his superior speed began to close the distance. But every time got close enough to swing his swords, Wu Jin would dodge, roll, or duck, and then start running again. 2 minutes passed, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. His breathing became heavier. His movements, while still fast, were no longer as precise. Sweat began to form on his carapace, glistening under the arena lights. 5 minutes, 6 minutes. The crowd's confusion turned to fascination. They had never seen a match like this. Most fights ended in under 2 minutes. This one had already lasted longer than any previous match, and the human showed no signs of stopping. 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Wu Jin was tired too. His legs burned with exertion. His lungs felt like they were on fire, but this was familiar territory. This was what Marines trained for. Endurance, pushing past the pain, finding reserves of strength when the body said there was nothing left. 9 minutes. His leg, the one Wu Jin had cut, began to give him trouble. The warlord's gait became uneven, favoring his good leg. His breathing was now a loud rasp that echoed across the arena. 10 minutes. And Wu Jin changed tactics. Instead of just running, he began to attack. Quick strikes. Wu Jin would dash in, slash at with his knives, targeting joints and weak points, then dash away before they could counter. Small cuts, shallow wounds, but they accumulated. A cut across forearm, another at the back of his ankle, a slash across his ribs where the armor plates separated. Individually, none of these wounds were serious, but together they began to wear down. Blue blood stained his black carapace. His movements grew slower, more defensive. 12 minutes. In the section of the stands, the other warriors watched in growing disbelief. One of them, a younger warrior named, spoke in their native language. "This is not possible. The human should have collapsed by now. How is he still moving?" An older warrior from many battles watched with ancient eyes. "Because we hunt in bursts, we evolved to chase prey for minutes, not hours. We strike fast and hard, then rest. But look at the human. He does not rest. He does not stop. What kind of creature hunts by never stopping?" 14 minutes. His attacks became desperate. He knew he was in trouble now. His muscles screamed for rest. His lungs burned. His leg wound throbbed with every step. But he could not stop fighting, could not yield. They did not surrender. He launched a wild attack, all 4 swords swinging with as much power as he could muster. But his movements were sluggish now, predictable. Wu Jin saw the attack coming and rolled beneath it. As Wu Jin came up from his roll, he drove both knives into the back of his left thigh, right above the knee. Not deep enough to cripple, but deep enough to hurt badly. Roared in pain and spun around, but Wu Jin was already out of range, breathing hard but still moving. 15 minutes. "Yield," Wu Jin called out, his voice rough from exertion. "You're injured, this can end now." "Never," gasped, "do not yield." "Then we keep going," Wu Jin said, and he started running again. Tried to chase, but his leg would not cooperate. He managed a few steps, then stumbled. His body, designed for explosive power, had reached its limit. Every muscle trembled with fatigue. His vision began to blur at the edges. The tone sounded, marking the end of the second round. Collapsed to one knee, all 4 arms bracing against the ground to keep him from falling completely. His chest heaved with exhaustion. Blue blood dripped from multiple wounds, forming small pools on the arena floor. Wu Jin walked back to his corner, moving slowly but steadily. His face was pale, his uniform soaked with sweat and blood, but he was still on his feet. Wu rushed to him with water and medical supplies. "How?" she asked as she scanned his vitals. "How are you still going? Your body should have given out 10 minutes ago." "Marines don't quit," Wu Jin said simply, drinking water in small sips. "My body can give out later. Right now I have a job to do." Across the arena's medical team worked frantically. They gave him stimulants, treated his wounds, tried to restore his strength. But there was only so much medicine could do. His body needed rest, and there was no time for rest. In the stands, Ambassador Haewon watched with amazement. "He's winning. He's actually winning." "Not yet," Min said. "Is hurt and tired, but he's still dangerous. Maybe more dangerous now because he's desperate. This last round will be the most critical." In another section, the betting houses were in chaos. The odds had shifted dramatically. What started as 500 to 1 against the human was now nearly even. Money exchanged hands furiously as aliens rushed to place new bets. The delegation sat in stunned silence. Their champion, undefeated for his entire career, was losing to a creature they had dismissed as prey. Looked across the arena at Wu Jin. The human should be broken, should be defeated. But instead he stood ready, his eyes clear and focused. It made no sense. There were superior warriors, bred for combat over millions of years. How could this soft-skinned creature be winning? Then understood. It was not about being the best warrior. It was about being the one who refused to fall. The human strength was not in his muscles or his weapons. It was in his absolute refusal to give up. For the first time in his life felt fear, not fear of death. Warriors did not fear death, but fear of something worse. Fear that everything he believed about predators and prey, about natural superiority and evolutionary dominance might be wrong. The tone sounded, 1 minute until the final round. Forced himself to his feet. His legs shook with exhaustion, his wounds throbbed, but he was still. He would fight until he could fight no more. Across the arena, Wu Jin stood up as well. Every part of his body hurt. His left arm was barely functional. His ribs ached with every breath. His legs felt like they were made of lead. But he remembered Sergeant's words. "When they think you're done, that's when you keep going." He looked at and saw a warrior who was finished, who had given everything and had nothing left. And he knew what he had to do. "One more round," Wu Jin whispered to himself. "Just one more round. Then we show them what humans are made of." The tone sounded for the final round. Both warriors walked toward the center of the arena. The crowd fell silent, barely breathing. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. "Begin," the official called. And the final battle commenced. The final round began with abandoning all strategy. He knew his body was failing. He knew he was running out of time. If he was going to win, it had to be now, with everything he had left. The Warlord charged forward with a roar that shook the arena walls. All 4 arms swung wildly, his swords creating a storm of glowing blue energy. It was not the precise, calculated attack of a master warrior. It was the desperate assault of a creature fighting for survival. Wu Jin tried to dodge, but his exhausted body responded too slowly. One sword caught his chest plate and sent him sprawling backward. He hit the ground hard, the air rushing from his lungs. Before he could recover was on him. A sword came down and Wu Jin rolled away just in time. The blade struck concrete, sending sparks flying. Another sword swept horizontally, and Wu Jin barely got his arm up to block it. The blade cut through his arm guard and into his flesh. Hot blood ran down his arm. The crowd was on their feet now, shouting and roaring. Some called for to finish it. Others, surprisingly, called for the human to survive. Wu Jin struggled to his feet, his vision swimming from blood loss and exhaustion. His right arm now joined his left in barely functioning. Both knives felt impossibly heavy in his hands. Every breath hurt. Every movement was agony. Attacked again, and this time Wu Jin could not dodge fast enough. A sword caught his left leg, cutting deep into the muscle. Wu Jin's leg gave out, and he fell to one knee. In the stands, Wu stood up, her face pale. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Sang Ho gripped the railing in front of him, his knuckles white. "Get up," he muttered. "Get up." Wu Jin stood over Wu Jin, all four swords raised for the killing blow. "You fought well," human said, his voice rough with exhaustion and respect. "But this ends now. Yield and I will spare your life." Wu Jin looked up at the warlord. Blood ran from a cut above his eye, blurring his vision. His body screamed at him to stay down, to give up, to let the pain end. Every logical part of his mind said he had done enough, proven enough. He could yield with honor. But then he thought of Sergeant. He thought of the 6 days on 442B, holding that position when everyone said it was impossible. He thought of every Marine who had ever refused to quit, every human who had ever faced impossible odds and kept going anyway. And Wu Jin smiled. It was not a defeated smile. It was not a desperate smile. It was the smile of someone who had found something funny in the midst of hell, because had asked him to yield, and that meant that was giving him a choice. That meant still saw him as a threat. "No," Wu Jin said. Then he moved. Despite his injuries, despite his exhausted body, despite every reason to stay down, Wu Jin exploded upward. He used his good leg to launch himself not away from but toward him. Swung all four swords down in a simultaneous attack that should have ended everything. But Wu Jin had been watching this patterns for the entire match. He knew how moved. He knew the timing. Wu Jin dropped into a slide, just like he had in the first round, going beneath the swords. But this time he did not slide past. This time he slid directly between's legs. As he passed underneath, Wu Jin drove both knives upward into the joints behind's knees, into the wounds he had already created, cutting through the weakened armor and deep into the muscle and tendons beneath. Roared in agony, his legs buckled. The massive warrior fell forward, crashing to the arena floor with a sound like thunder. Wu Jin rolled away and forced himself to stand. His vision was darkening at the edges. He could feel his body starting to shut down, but he had one more move left, just one more. Tried to push himself up, but his legs would not respond. The human's knives had severed critical tendons. The warlord rolled onto his back, all four arms trying to find a way to attack, but Wu Jin was already moving. Using the last of his strength, Wu Jin climbed onto his chest. They tried to grab him with all four arms, but Wu Jin was too close, inside the reach of the long arms. He dropped his knives and wrapped his arms around his thick neck. It was a chokehold, a basic combat technique taught to every Marine. But against a creature with strength, it should have been useless. They should have been able to simply throw Wu Jin off. But was exhausted. His muscles had nothing left. His four arms pulled at Wu Jin weakly, unable to get the leverage needed to break free. "Yield," Wu Jin said through gritted teeth, squeezing. "Please, yield." Struggled, his pride refusing to surrender. He did not yield, he could not yield. But his vision was going dark, his lungs burned for air, and he realized something profound in that moment. He was not losing to a stronger warrior. He was not losing to a faster warrior. He was losing to a warrior who simply would not stop. No matter how many times you knocked this human down, he would get back up. No matter how much pain you caused, he would keep fighting. That was not weakness. That was something far more dangerous than claws or armor or superior evolution. That was will, pure, undiluted human will. His hand, trembling with exhaustion, tapped against the arena floor. Once, twice, 3 times. The submission signal. The crowd erupted in shocked disbelief. The noise was deafening, a mixture of cheers, shouts, and confused chatter in 100 languages. Wu Jin immediately released the chokehold and rolled off. He lay on his back on the arena floor, staring up at the bright lights, breathing hard. His body had finally given out. He could not move anymore. But he was conscious, he was alive, and he had won. The official rushed forward, checking both fighters. The match is over. The human warrior, Sergeant Wu Jin, is the victor. Medical teams flooded onto the arena floor from both sides. Wu reached Wu Jin first, her scanner already working. "You absolute idiot," she said, tears running down her face as she started treating his wounds. "You beautiful, stubborn, incredible idiot." "Did we win?" Wu Jin asked weakly. "Yes, you won," Wu said, laughing and crying at the same time. "You actually won." Sang Ho and Bo-Ra arrived moments later, both of them talking at once, their words blending together in excited relief. Min was right behind them, and for once, the captain was smiling. Across the arena, his medical team helped him sit up. The warlord looked at Wu Jin being treated by his team, and slowly, painfully, raised one arm in a gesture of respect that transcended species. Wu Jin, seeing the gesture, raised one bloodied hand in return. 2 days later, Wu Jin lay in a medical bed in the human quarters, his body wrapped in bandages and connected to various medical devices. Wu had told him he would make a full recovery, but it would take months. Visitors had been coming constantly. Ambassador Haewon had visited to tell him that the Empire had proposed a military alliance with Earth. Other species that had previously dismissed humanity were now requesting meetings. The galaxy was seeing humans in a new light. But the visitor that surprised Wu Jin most was himself. The warlord entered the medical bay slowly, his own injuries making movement difficult. He had similar bandages and walked with support, but he had insisted on coming. "Sergeant Wu Jin," said, his voice respectful, "I came to speak with you." "Warlord," Wu Jin said, managing to sit up slightly, "you honor me with your visit." Moved closer to the bed. "In all my years as a warrior, I have never been defeated. I have faced the strongest fighters from 17 species. I have won every challenge. Until you." He paused as if choosing his words carefully. "My people, we evolved to be predators. It is what we are. We hunt, we kill, we conquer. We believe this made us superior to all others, but you showed me something I did not understand." "What is that?" Wu Jin asked. "The difference between a predator and a survivor," said. "Predators hunt until the prey falls. But what happens when the prey never falls? What happens when the prey stands up again and again, no matter how many times you knock it down? Then the prey becomes something more dangerous than any predator." Extended one hand toward Wu Jin. "You did not beat me with strength or speed or superior weapons. You beat me because you refused to lose. Even when your body was broken, even when you should have fallen, you stood up. That is not the behavior of prey. That is the behavior of something far more dangerous." Wu Jin took the offered hand carefully. "My people have a saying. We are not the strongest, the fastest, or the most dangerous creatures in the universe, but we are the most stubborn. When everything says we should quit, we take one more step. When everything says we should die, we keep living. That is what makes us human." Nodded slowly. "And that is why the Empire wishes to stand with humanity rather than against it. A predator can be beaten by a bigger predator. But how do you defeat something that will not accept defeat?" After left, Wu Jin lay back in his bed and looked at the photo he kept by his bedside. It showed his old unit on 442B before the battle that had taken so many of them. Sergeant stood in the center, smiling at the camera. "We did it," Wu Jin whispered to the photo. "We showed them what Marines can do. We showed them what humans are made of." Outside the medical bay, Sang Ho stood with Bo-Ra, both of them looking through the window at their friend. "You know what the best part is," Sang Ho said. "The betting houses lost billions of credits. Everyone bet against humanity." "That is pretty good," Bo-Ra agreed. Then she smiled. "But I think the best part is that the galaxy now knows what we've always known. You can knock a human down 1,000 times, but if you give them 1 second to breathe, they'll get back up for round 1001. Marines don't quit, Sang-Ho said. Humans don't quit, Bora corrected. And across the galaxy, on 100 worlds and 1,000 stations, species that had dismissed humanity as weak now watched footage of the match and reconsidered. Perhaps these small, soft creatures from Earth were more dangerous than anyone had realized. Perhaps the predators of the galaxy had just met something they could not hunt. Perhaps they had just met humanity.